Have you ever met someone so calm, so grounded, that even chaos couldn't shake them? Not loud, not flashy, but when they walk in, everyone straightens up. You feel it, even if they don't say a word. It's not charm, it's not dominance, it's danger. Because the most dangerous person in any room is the one who doesn't need to prove a thing. That's not arrogance. That's certainty. And here's the paradox. The truly confident don't talk about confidence. They don't need to. You won't hear them flex or correct every insult. They don't chase attention, likes, or validation. They're immune to it because they've done something most people never do. They've faced themselves. They've sat in silence with the guilt, the fear, the ugliness inside, and didn't run. Most people are terrified of that silence, that moment between the noise, where the truth creeps in. But the ones who walk through that fire and stay standing, those are the ones you should never underestimate. That's what Marcus Aurelius meant when he wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." The confident don't estimate. They see, they accept, they move forward, not louder, but deeper. So when the insults come, they don't react. When someone tries to provoke, they don't bite, because they're not playing that game anymore. They've built something no one can take: peace. And peace, in a world addicted to noise, is the most dangerous weapon you can wield. Stay with me, because in the next part, we'll uncover the trait that makes these people unstoppable. Not because of what they do, but because of what they refuse to. They refuse to perform. While the world scrambles to impress, to posture, to win the imaginary crowd, they remain still. Because they've realized something most people never will. You don't rise by being seen. You rise by becoming. They don't enter a room to be liked. They enter fully aware. They might not be. And that's fine. Because approval is not the currency they trade in. They've moved past that economy. When you stop needing people to validate you, you become untouchable. And that's what unnerves others. People don't fear your strength. They fear your self-reliance. They fear the mirror you become when you no longer need their applause. Because most are addicted to the noise. They live in it. They rely on it. But the confident have rewired something deeper. When they wake up, they're not chasing, they're creating. Not followers, not noise, not revenge, but a mind that can't be broken. That's the real flex. Not what you wear, not what you drive, but how silent you stay when they try to poke holes in your peace. When they say you've changed, you have. When they say you think you're better, you do. Not than them, but than the old version of you who once needed their love to feel whole. Confidence isn't cold. It's warm, but reserved. It's soft to those who've earned it, but steel to those who try to manipulate it. Because you don't defend your worth, you embody it. No shouting, no explanation, no drama. And that is terrifying to a world addicted to control. Stay close, because in the next part, we'll name the one trait, the one shift, that separates the truly confident from everyone else still pretending. Here's what no one tells you. Truly confident people don't correct others' assumptions. They let you misunderstand them. They let you think they're weak. They let you walk away, believing you won. And all the while, they're watching. Not to retaliate, but to remember. Because real confidence doesn't announce. It archives. You'll never hear them say, "I'll prove you wrong," because they already have, to themselves. You see, the truly confident don't rise because they shouted louder. They rise because they went quiet when everyone else needed noise. They observed, reflected, healed, and then re-entered the world as something you didn't see coming. And that silence before the storm is where their power lives. They're not afraid to be alone, not afraid to walk away, not afraid to say, "This energy doesn't serve me anymore." Not out of arrogance, out of clarity. Most people fear losing others. Confident people fear losing themselves. And so they protect their peace like it's sacred ground. Because it is. If this has stirred something in you, deep, quiet, undeniable, don't scroll past. Subscribe. This space isn't just for viewers. It's for those becoming something they were always meant to be. Real confidence is not made in public. It's crafted alone. In those brutal, silent moments where you doubt everything, except your will. It's when you're broke, but you don't beg. When you're hurt, but you don't humiliate. When you're underestimated, but you still underreact. That's the test. You don't react because you know who you are. You don't chase validation because your truth doesn't need applause. You stop explaining your boundaries. You stop arguing your worth. You stop shrinking to keep the peace that others never offered you. Instead, you walk, and it shakes them. Because when someone can walk away with grace, with silence, with no need to be seen as right, that's power. They thought they had control, but it was borrowed. They thought they were important, but only in your old story. Now, you've rewritten the ending, and you're the one holding the pen. This is the confidence they never saw coming. The kind that doesn't flex. It just doesn't flinch. You're not trying to intimidate. You're trying to evolve. But the problem is, your evolution makes people feel irrelevant. Not because you said anything, but because they see in you what they've been avoiding in themselves. And in that mirror, you're a threat. The moment you stop chasing, everything changes. Not because you gave up, but because you woke up. You realized your energy is currency, and you've been spending it on people who never invested back. So now you protect it, like sacred fire. Not everyone gets to warm their hands here, because your confidence isn't about being loud. It's about being clear. Clear in your path, clear in your values, clear in your silence. You no longer flinch when they ghost you. You don't spiral when they talk behind your back. You don't panic when things fall apart. You observe, you adjust, you move. They call it cold. You call it peace. They call it arrogant. You call it healed. Because the most dangerous trait of the truly confident is that they don't need the room to agree. They are the room. You stopped being the echo. You became the origin. And they hate it. Because it's easier to control a person who doubts. It's harder to shake someone who's met their own darkness and didn't run. You've seen your own shadow, and you made peace with it. Now, no one else's darkness can surprise you. You're not perfect, but you're honest. You're not loud, but you're unmovable. And that's why they whisper. That's why they test you. That's why they provoke. Because deep down, they know you're no longer playing. You don't need the last word. You don't need to prove your worth. You just need to know it. Real confidence doesn't compete. It calculates. It waits. And when the moment comes, it moves like thunder. silent first, then unmistakable. That's why you no longer react. You respond with poise, with restraint, with that terrifying calm that comes from knowing you don't need to beg for what's already yours. You walk into rooms, not to be seen, but to see, to measure, to feel the undercurrent. Because the powerful don't speak first. They listen, they learn, and they let others expose themselves. So when you speak, they hear you differently, because it's rare now, precise, delivered with weight. And when you leave them thinking. Not because of what you did, but because of what you didn't. You didn't chase, you didn't fold, you didn't explain, you knew. And nothing disturbs people more than someone who knows exactly who they are and doesn't flinch. You've turned discomfort into discipline, loneliness into clarity, and silence into a weapon no one saw coming. Because now, you don't just look confident, you are untouchable. True confidence doesn't chase applause. It doesn't crave recognition. It walks in when everyone else is still waiting for permission. It's not about appearing unshaken. It's about being so rooted that no wind moves you. Real confidence isn't performance. It's not in calculated words, perfect posture, or curated silence. It's in the eyes, in the way you listen without reacting, in how you respond without defending, in how you leave without needing the last word. Because the truly confident, they don't need to prove it. They've already won the war inside. They've buried the old fear that said they had to be liked to be enough. They've buried the need to convince, to explain, to chase, to fix. Now, they simply are, fully, unapologetically, quietly. And that silence, it threatens every manipulator who relied on your self-doubt. Every time you stop shrinking, they feel it. They don't clap. They criticize. They try to bait you back into the version of yourself they could control. Don't fall for it. There's nothing louder than a person who no longer needs to speak to be heard. So when you walk into a room, walk with your past fully integrated, with your wounds turned to wisdom, and your peace no longer negotiable. If this hit you in the gut, don't scroll. Subscribe to Inner Fort. This isn't just a channel, it's your return to self. When you're ready, watch the next video. Because in a world built on noise, your silence is the final word.